Hey guys, this is Daisy. Welcome back to my channel. If you have not been to my channel before, welcome, and I do hope you stay. I will be having a lot of new videos coming up. So this time around I am doing a speed build for a modern house. I thought about making this into a tree house, which is why you see that it is raised and there are stairs going up and nothing's holding it up. I wanted this to be a tree house at first. And as you'll notice, I do have trees that appear and then sort of disappear later on and then reappear and then disappear again. And that is because I wanted this to be a tree house, but it was hard placing the trees in the way that I wanted to without it affecting the house itself. So in the end, I decided to go for just a modern / futuristic house. I'm not sure. I don't know if there are any houses that are being built this way, because I think it would be cool if they were. I don't know if with those type of columns that I end up choosing they would build a real house with it, but I just thought I'd be a little bit on the creative side. So this is a modern house, and as you can see we are doing the bathroom at this point. And at first I thought about making it into a really big bathroom, but I thought, no, we'll leave it as a small bathroom that guests can use if they come over, because I was only going to have a bathroom in the master bedroom, and I thought that I would need an additional bathroom, but I didn't want to make it into a powder room. I wanted to have a shower in there as well for guests, should anyone need to shower. So I went with a smaller but full bath. And as you can see, I'm adding in some shelves. Now I had a little bit of difficulty putting items on these shelves. I know that with the cheats you can place what you want on there, but I'm not the biggest fan of using all kinds of different cheats just to get objects in the video, even though it does look nice. I see tons of people who make such a nice build and they use cheats to enlarge the item or make it fit. The one cheat that I really do like to use is the move objects. I think it makes things so much easier when you're trying to place an object that would look really nice but then doesn't end up appearing the way you want it to. Now as you can see in this little section, I did end up losing some footage. I don't know how that happened. I think it was because I thought I was filming and then it turns out that I wasn't, but I had already saved the game, so there was really no going back. So I just had to let it be. Now you will see me go back into the bar area and you'll see me finish up that section. So no worries, you do get to see it a little more. Now for this, now you see that I am working in the kitchen, and I didn't end up putting in a table because this house to me was going to be more like one for a couple that don't have children yet. There are no children's rooms in this house. Now you can always switch out some of the rooms and end up placing children's rooms instead. So for the kitchen I decided not to put a kitchen table. I thought they could just sit in the living room, which to me it seems like they're always in the living room anyways, you know, eating, doing their homework, talking. So I didn't really feel like there was a need to put in any stools or any table. Now for the living room, it ended up being more of a blue theme, and I kind of see that as a theme throughout the house. I don't know what it is, but I tend to choose a blue color when it comes to me and build. For the next one, I'm going to try to not use blue, but I really can't promise it. And now for the foyer, is that how you pronounce that? Or foyer? Not quite sure, but I decided to make it look a little bit nicer. That way when people come in through the front doors, they have something nice to look at. So I decided to put some statues there. And then on the other side I decided to put a plant. Now I'm not too sure if the plant is going to be blocking the way into the bathroom. It might be, it might not. I can't quite remember. But if it is, I can always just take that one out. And I did add some pictures, and I end up putting a camera there just as a decorative piece. And now I'm just working on the walls, trying to finish them. And when I did the walls for the kitchen, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do just one wall of one bold color or just sort of make it match all the way around the house. But we'll see what I decide in a bit. See, same with that little area. I didn't know if I should keep it the same as the other two rooms or make it different, and I decided to just use one color for it. And it's like a lightish blue, even though it doesn't really look like it. I believe it's like a lightish blue with, or more of a grayish blue. I believe that's what the color ends up being. And for the kitchen, I go with something a little bit similar, but not quite the same color. And once again, it has the blue theme going on. At first, I wanted it to make it into a black or gray section, but I ended up doing that to the bar instead, and I just went with the blue color for the kitchen. And as you'll notice, I do jump from one room to the next. I really wish I would do one room at a time. That way I could have just filmed, the living room area first and then doing the bathroom as another separate film or video, and then doing the bar separately, and then towards the end you get to see the whole house as one and you get to see the bigger picture. But because I jump all over the place, I didn't do it this time. I'm going to try it for the next time, but it doesn't tend to happen because then I go back and I fix something, and then I go back and fix it again, and then the end result. So now I'm working on the master bedroom, and I just added a few pieces for the bedroom and went on into the bathroom. Now the way the bathroom ends up looking in the end, I really, really like it. That is something I actually want my future bathroom to look like whenever I actually have one that I can paint and decorate in whatever format that I want. Because when you live in an apartment, you can't really paint unless it's allowed. And if you do paint, if they do allow you to paint in the apartment, you have to repaint it before you move. And I'm not sure if I could do that here, but I wouldn't want to. Just the whole painting process, especially if I'm not going to get to keep it. To me, there's no point, even though it would look nice. But anyways, that is the actual theme that I want my future bathroom to be. I want it to have like a blue, a black, and silver, and some white here and there, and then some nice mirrors. And as far as the blue, I don't know if I want it to be like a baby blue, a teal blue, or a bright blue, but that's sort of the color scheme that I would like. And I really like the way that ends up looking. Now for the closet, I ended up having it big. I'm not sure if I show this, but then I make it smaller because the bed ends up taking too much space, in which if a sim actually went through the house, they would not be able to pass through to go to like the bathroom or the other side of the bed, so I had to make it smaller. Now I tried to put as much items as I could into the closet, that way it really looked like a closet, because I know in mine it's really packed. I have a lot of stuff in there, which I need to go and start reorganizing and getting rid of things that I no longer need. But I wanted to make this closet similar to that, where it's just full of items, both his and her items in there. And then as you can see, I go back and I add the walls and some windows to make it that much more modern looking. and I wanted to make it into like a red and black sort of theme. I still went with the whole blue wall, but this time around I chose the ones with the black panels. Now I wanted to fit some paintings within those black panels, but they didn't really fit the way that I wanted them to, so instead I went with the birds. And I ended up with birds on all of the walls. That way there was a similar theme going on. And I know with these walls I decided to use the black panel wood, because since I originally wanted this to be a treehouse, I actually wanted it to have wood paneling all around, but I thought instead I would just use it as an accent piece instead. And as you can see, I add in the carpet, which I end up changing to a different carpet, in which you'll see soon. I wanted it to match that of the bathroom. And then I added a couch because I thought, the Sims could just sit in there and instead of having to just be on the bed. And I added some nice little pillows alongside it. Now for these two rooms, I wasn't sure what I should do for them. I knew that I was going to do a study or a library, but I wasn't too sure which of the two to do. And as for the second room, I thought maybe an art studio, a photography studio, or a gym. And I ended up going with the gym because I tried adding the camera studio items in there, but it was too small and I didn't want to turn this little room into the office. So I decided to just put in a gym instead. And this is where I decorate the room in a yellowish, whitish theme. Now I don't know why I choose to do themes like that. I don't necessarily always color coordinate everything, but in this case I did. Alright, and then this is where I'm just deciding on which plant to input, and then I decide what to put on the wall. Originally I wanted to do like a painting, but I didn't like the way they looked, so I just went with the board instead. And now I'm creating the office slash study slash library. And when I first did this, I didn't notice that I put a lamp right in front of the computer. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's right there. It's so visible. It looks, if you really don't look at it, you don't notice, but if you're staring at it, you're like, what is that? And then later on I realized there's a lamp there and I move it out of the way. And for these, I decided to do two different types of bookshelves, only because the colors weren't exactly the same, so instead I used two different bookshelves, and the bookshelves that were the same, I used the same color, so they sort of matched with each other. And that orange chair does become a different color eventually, because I'm not too sure why I chose orange, but eventually I went back, I think, and I changed it to black. There you go. And that's when I noticed the lamp. And this is me trying to figure out what to place in that little area, because there is some space there and I feel like you can add more to it instead of it looking too open. Alright, and now I'm just working on the walls. So this wall just ends up being like white with black or dark brown detailing. And onto the stairwell, I decide to put some paintings, and I end up putting a seating area. I thought about putting in a TV so that they could have another little area where they can watch TV, but since they're really only going to be a couple or even someone who's single and just living in their really nice house, but I really didn't see a point in it. They could just go downstairs and watch whatever they want. So as you can see, I added the window. I'm adding some decorative pieces just because it looks a little empty on that side, but it isn't too big to put an item because then it'll block the stairs. So I ended up going with a plant that did not fill the entire square. That way a sim who passes through can easily go through it without not being able to go to any of the rooms. And as you can see, this is where I decide that I don't want to have a table after all. I try to place it there, but then it creates less of a room, makes it that look really small, so I decided against the table. Now I know some YouTubers like to create the outside of the house first and then go inside, because then all you have to really do is insert the items and figure out which room is going to go where and what things that you're going to have inside, as opposed to having to change things on the inside because you decided to add an additional window and now it's blocking the item that you had there. So I did it the opposite. Not sure why, but I always tend to do that. And this is me trying to figure out how I want the roof to look, and I thought since this is going to be a modern house, I want it to look slightly different, so I made the roof a little bit on the pointy side, a little bit different than just a simple triangular shape. And I do end up changing, yeah, that's what I was going to say, I do end up changing the dark color into a white. That's actually not a white color, it's a blue color. At first I thought it was like after viewing it, I thought it was a white color and looking blue only because of the lighting or the time of day that it was, but it's actually a light blue color. And here I am going through the house, having to change a few things because I added or took away certain windows in the area. And this I actually noticed that I had no lighting in the bar area, so I decided to go with the blue lights. Going back outside to finish off the front of the house. So I really just jump from one room to the next. I do that quite a bit. And here is where I actually am trying to place some of the trees. I did this multiple times on and off. I just edited it all out, and in this case I just left it in so you can see what I was trying to do with the house. But as you can see, it sort of is going into the house, the leaves, and so if you went inside the house you actually could see the leaves in there. So I ended up taking all those trees out. Now I will try to do a tree house again, but this time I'm going to work on the outside first, that way I can place all the trees in the way that they don't interfere with the house itself. I think if I would have made the house a little bit bigger and closer to the front, I could have made it work. But in this case, I made it a little too small and a little too in the middle, which is why the trees weren't really getting into the house the way that I wanted it to, or into the area. And here, as you can see, I'm placing all the flowers. I decided to do blue, purple, and pink flowers just to make it look a little bit different. And I would place them, and it actually took quite a while just to place those flowers. A really long time. Because I would add the flowers in the first time, and then there would be some space in between the flowers, so I have to go back and fill it up a little more so it would look fuller. and then I had to go back and space them. That way they all looked the same. So it took quite a bit. I know when you're doing speed builds and they're a little bit on the faster side, I try not to make it too fast, but sometimes it's a little hard because there's just so much footage that needs to be either sped up or just cut out completely. And here you could see all the little space that is left over. And I'm just trying to fill it in by adding different colors in between with pinks, blues, and purples. Yep, and there you go. Now you can see that I'm doing the fountain. I really wanted it to be a really nice and big fountain, and for whatever reason, I'm not too sure why, I could not find the fountain that I wanted, which is completely ridiculous because the fountains are in the fountain section, right? And I went in there and I could not find the fountain that I wanted, and later on in the video you'll see that I'll change it into the fountain that I did want, and it's not exactly the one that I truly wanted. I wanted to make it a little bit more different, but I just went with the one that you'll see later on. But at the time I could not find it. Don't know why, I could not find it. And now I'm just trying to make the ground look a little bit nicer, making it look nice and bright and green. And there I just took off all the trees because I decided they were in the way. I could not see the yard. And I do not put them back in. After that point, I do not. I decide, nope, this is just going to be a modern build. And then I decided to add in the little fountains on the corner of the pool just as a decorative pieces. I thought it made the pool a little bit nicer than just a simple square. Now, if the water actually fell into the pool, that would be amazing. And here I am working on the backyard. Now, for the backyard, what I had in mind was a place where they could do gatherings and parties and have lots of room to do that. I wanted to have like a cooking yet seating area, and then for the other half I wanted it to be an area where they could dance and have some music. So this is where I'm trying to figure out what type of furniture I was going to have out there and how I was going to place the seating arrangement while leaving some space for dancing, which is why I ended up taking that part out because I didn't like the way it was looking. I also wanted to have a place where they can view the television because I think it's really nice when you have a backyard, you have an area to cook, you have an area for entertainment, you have an area for entertaining, watching some TV, and that's why I decided to have the tables and chairs on the left side of the yard along with a decorative wall and a TV. And I added the fireplace because I don't have the outdoor retreat expansion pack, so I don't have the bonfire. If I did have it, I would have put a bonfire instead. So at this point, I'm rearranging it so that the Sims can have a place to sit and view the TV without having to sit in the tables, because the tables, since they have the covers, the umbrellas on top, it would prevent them from viewing the TV. So I rearranged it. And this is when I add the bar and the stools and the music, because that would be the side in which they would dance. Then I go back to the front because I feel like it's very empty. And I decide to add the columns because even though I like the way it looks without the columns, it needs some sort of support for the house to actually be standing the way it is. And here's when I add in the elephants. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed my modern build, and I will see you next time on my next video. Bye guys!